Hi viewers, so welcome to this video lecture on Visual Studio. In this video, we'll be starting from the very fundamentals of Visual Studio and we are using the version 2022. Here it is the integration of all the things like your console application, your ASP.NET applications, web-based applications, Windows applications, and all together we put what we call it the .NET 5.0 and the latest version which it has come, that is .NET 6.0, which includes all the things what is the MVC, model view, all the things are included there. So these things we gradually study. So in this video lecture, we'll be studying about the very fundamentals of this our Visual Studio. In this Visual Studio, I start with the very fundamental things here. Yeah, and in one time. Yeah, it is already there, I think. Yeah, it's there. And if you go for just press F5, you find here. Yeah. We are going for this Microsoft.NET platform. This Microsoft.NET is a software development platform and it is based on this virtual machine architecture or virtual machine based architecture. The entire .NET program are independent of any particular operating system and also it is independent of any physical hardware machine. So these are the things there. Then if you see how the .NET program layer up, okay, the very bottommost you can see the physical, that what is the hardware or the machine hardware, whatever we say. It can be the Intel Pentium, it can be Apple Macintosh, etc. All things are there. And just above this is the operating system. It can be the operating system, it can be Linux, it can be anything. Just above that is the CLR, or we call it the Common Language Runtime, CLR, or the Common Language Runtime, as it is developed by the .NET. So .NET Common Language Runtime. Above that are all the applications, .NET based applications. So this is the layer, the starting from the physical layer, that is the hardware, then the second layer is the operating system, then the third, the .NET CLR, and fourth layer, all the applications in there. Then we go for the details with .NET. Microsoft introduced a commonly or a completely new architecture for Windows applications. For Windows applications, it created WinForm. For data access, it has gone for ADO.NET. And web applications, it has gone for this ASP.NET. The Windows components like the assemblies, the distributed application .NET remoting, and also you have all the XML basis web services are also there. So these are the things one by one we study. So if you see the Microsoft.NET framework, the framework means it includes everything. Here, the very bottom it is the operating system like the Windows, Linux, Unix, Macintosh, etc. Just above that is the common language runtime CLR. Here the job is debugger, the type checker, then JIT, JIT, just in time, JITR and exception, all the things are there. Then above that is the FCL, that is the framework class library. Its job is I/O, input output streaming, sockets, security, reflections, all user interfaces, all things like that. And just above that, there is the data, it is the ADO.NET and also XML library. XML is used for just holding data, is just like content. Then above that is the .NET applications. So here, it can be the WinForm, it can be the web applications, or it can be web services. All things it is coming under that one. Then coming to this .NET framework, one of the primary of this .NET initiative is to provide a common framework that can help you to develop with each the web-based applications and some other services apart from the traditional applications such as window-based applications. So this is the main purpose or main job of the things. And the .NET framework acts as a common framework for multiple languages such as you can the Visual Basic, .NET, then Visual C++, .NET, and Visual C Sharp .NET, and thus provides a new level of interoperability, right? So this was the main idea of the things, and there are two main components with the .NET framework. The first one is the CLR or the Common Language Runtime. The second one is the class library. So now let us see what is this CLR and what is this class library. Coming to the Common Language Runtime, the .NET framework provides a common runtime environment. See, we are talking about the CLR, and in this CLR, we are having the common runtime environment for all .NET language. That means uh, for whatever the systems, whatever operating system, there must be a common runtime environment. Okay, and this is provided by the CLR. The .NET framework provides a common runtime environment for all .NET languages. This common runtime environment is also referred to as common language runtime. So besides managing the execution of codes at runtime, the CLR also provides a common set of services such as exception handling, security, debugging for all the CLR compliant languages. Thus, the CLR aids in implementing cross-language interoperability. That means you develop in one platform, that is the cross-platform, but here it supports a number of languages. The CLR manages code generated by all the .NET languages compilers. Hence, any code that is targeted to run on the CLR is referred to as managed code. Remember? So, these are the things we'll be using. And when we compile a .NET application, the associated compiler compiles the source code into the managed code. Okay, you may use .NET, you may use .NET, you may use C Sharp, you may use anything. So finally, it will be converted to the managed code. Fine. And the compiler generate the managed code in a language called the Microsoft Intermediate Language or MSIL. While you are going for compiling, this managed code is converted into a MSIL or Microsoft Intermediate Language. So which is a CPU independent languages. It is not depending on the CPU, any type of CPU also deliver. Okay. Then if you see the architecture here, at the very bottom one is the operating system, then is the CLR, then the top is the applications. What about the different applications? And along with the MSIL, the compiler also generates metadata that describes the code. This metadata stores details about the types, members references, and so on. And the CLR uses this metadata to handle code execution and exception and to provide security and cross-language integrations. And both this MISL and the metadata are stored in a file named the portable execution or the P file, right? And after compilation and during execution of the application, the MSL instructions, which comprise the managed code, need to be converted to the CPU dependent codes. So for that, we use a compiler we call the JIT or just-in-time compiler. This supplied by the CLR. It converts MSL into native code. Okay. So now let us see the difference between doing compilation how what takes place in the traditional languages and in our this language, right? So in the compiler and program execution, the traditional programming languages, you see here, we get some source code, we get some libraries, and they are compiled here and optimized. Then it is converted to the native machine executor 0101 machine code, then operating system execute all things. So this is the things happens in the traditional things. But while you are going in the .NET framework, the source code and uncompiled reference library code, both they go for the static compiler. From the static compiler, it goes the intermediate code that it does not contain any platform specific API calls. Fine. Then what happens? Then it goes the .NET CLR. Here, with the compiled reference library and the compiled platform, all the specification, all the things it comes here together, and finally it is executed in the operating system with executor. So this is the difference between all the things. And finally, if you see here, it happens like the source code is compiled into the MSIL, Microsoft Intermediate Language, and this is by the JIT compiler, it is converted to native code. Okay. So intermediate something is there to convert it back. Then we are having the common type system CTS. It defines the set of standards, data types, and also set of rules for creating new data types. The CTS ensures that the implementation of the standard data types such as the integer is the same across all the CLR compatible languages. And here, the types supported by the CTS can be divided into two categories. One is the value type, another is the reference type. Value type that directly stores the data, and the subcategories under these are built-in value type like user-defined value type. So built-in value type, user-defined value type, and also enumeration or by value, right? So these are things coming under the value type. coming under this reference type, that unlike value type store and reference to the memory address, it is not the direct value of the data. It is just like the address, right? So okay, the subcategories coming under this are the classes, the arrays, pointer types, and interfaces. All things coming under that one. Okay. So here you can have the built-in value type as well as the user-defined value type. The built-in value type, the .NET Framework defines built-in value types such as system.integer32 and system.boolean, which correspond and are identical to the primitive data types used in the programming languages. The user-defined value type, the language you are using will provide functionality to define your own value type. These use the example you might choose. We can go for the some complex numbers like floating point number, etc. So all things we can use there. Right? So in the reference type, the example is the class, interface, delegates, and the built-in reference type and the object and string. So this is some theory, some introduction I have given. Now the second part of our program is how we go for the Visual Studio things. So before you see all things, I will go for some basic things like uh, how what is the version and how to download and install. Okay, so we can go to the any of the browser, just Google it and search it. You go for the Visual Studio and you select the Visual Studio 2022. If you are using Windows operating system, download it for Windows. But for all the operating system, it is also available. And you go for the community edition. Okay, so you go for the community editions, and in the community edition, because it is only free, other things with the professional and all things you need to pay for that one. So as a student or as a faculty, we can use this community edition with full functionality. There is no problem with that, right? So then once you download and start installing, I think it is around 10 GB of space is required, and if you see that I've put 8 GB of RAM is there also required, you'll be comfortable working in all this platform. Right. So once you install and everything is there, then we how do you start all the things? Then you go for the file. The first time you go for okay, I close it and start from the beginning because you will be confused. I'll close it. Yes. Don't save. I do not save it here. Fine. Let it close and we, yeah, this is also not required here. Now I am going for now I'm starting here because it is already installed. So you see while you are downloading, it will download and show you like the Visual Studio installer. Can you see the Visual Studio setup in the exe file? And double click there, it will set up over there. And once it is set up and there, then you will have an icon Visual Studio 2022. Don't double clicking it first time. The screen will appear like this Microsoft Visual Studio. You can see 2022 version is there and it is opening. It takes some time. So once it opens, then you can check it whatever things you want to use it here. Suppose I want to create something. Okay. So I want to create a new project. Okay. So then just double click here and while you are creating this new project, it will ask you what type of things you want. Say I can go for all languages and especially I am going for you can also go for the all platform also. Then you'll having more than 50 number of options with you. But I just using all languages and I'm using Windows and I want to go for some console applications. And here I'll be using console application with the .NET framework. The .NET framework once I select it and then go for the next. Then it is asking just to give a thing something like that. Mm, yeah, yeah, right like that. You can give it console demo name. You can give it here console demo. Okay, instead of console app, you can write it console demo. So DEMO. So okay. So what is the project name? We have given console demo, and where it will store C users, Dr. Gunamani source and repos. Here it will be there, and I am using the framework. You can use by default in the 2019 it will be 4.72, but in the latest I am using, so I am using .NET framework 4.8. Then once you start clicking it here, then a project is created. The name of the project is console demo. It takes some time, so less than 1 because first time it is creating all these things. So once it is created, then we can see the details on the desktop. Now I hope it is going to create it shortly. Now it is created. Can you see we have the console demo here? Can you see it here? We are having the console demo here. Now, while we are going for the very fundamental things, see how do you write all the things? Say, suppose I want to write something here, a first program. So we go for the console. If you know, yeah, if can you see at the console? Yeah, double click console dot. It is just like the print command, write line, console dot write line. Okay, whatever you want, tab, you just put it here, tab to access, console dot write line. Then suppose I want to put hello, uh, hello, welcome, hello, welcome to our first program, okay, first program on Microsoft .NET console. Okay, console. Right. So these are things written, and just at the end you close it. Okay, sit here and put a semicolon. Fine. So now you can see this is there. But the thing is that you set it control S, but if you run it, it will appear for less than 1 second and it will disappear. So to make it appear there, we also type console dot here I write read line. Okay, tab you put it here console instead of write line. I put it read line. Yeah, just that's what READ read line. Okay, and you end it here, sit here, and also put a semicolon. So can you get it here? Now I save it, Control and S. Once I save it, and I am going to run it here also. What is my project name? Console demo. Okay. So you can see it here now. What I did it here. If you see it here, a class is created, and the namespace is created console demo in the program. Then static void main string arguments. You see, just I am going to print something, right? Then you for running, you just click it here. After clicking it here, you can see it is running. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Can you see the output is coming? Hello, welcome to our first program on MS.NET console. I think you are able to see all things. So for that, say just you enter and enter, so it will disappear. Just any key press it there, it will disappear because I have given the options here. So can you see it here? So in this way, you can write or we can write our first program and we can also do something. Okay. Suppose you can also use from the various things are there. Say, suppose I go for the tutorial points here. In the tutorial points, you can have a number of things there. Say, suppose I want to do all things. Say, I want integer. I define a is equal to 42, b is equal to something, c is equal to a plus b. Control that all things. So I copy this code. I copy all this code. Fine. So then what I do? I come on here. Yeah, I come on here and console dot okay, fine. So these two line just I remove and instead of that control V. Fine. So now what you declared? You declared the variable integer data type A is the variable name and assigned 42. B is assigned some 119 and C is equal to A plus B and console dot write line C just like the print command with that and console to read it. So with this, just save it. Control S, just I save it here. So once you save it and try to run this program, I run this program. Okay, what is the output? The output will come 42 plus 190. It will be 161 like that. It will come. Okay, let us run and see. Okay, now I run this program. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, great. So now we got the output is equal to 161. Just I put any key and I have come out of all this. So like that, suppose you want to do a small program on calculator. So you want to do a small program on calculator. See this, I'm not doing anything. It's already there, existing there, already available. The tutorials are available here. Just I copy and then I will explain. So I copy. This is the entire thing I copied here. It is copied. Then I paste it here. Sorry, yeah, come on here. So here from this point to this point, the entire thing. Uh, Fine. So great. And control V. Can you see it here? So now this here. Okay, the same console demo and all things there. Here the name could have changed something because I'm going to create a calculator out of that one. So in the calculator, what we do? Okay, let us run, then we can understand all things. Calculator will be first of all declare a variable. What are the variable I'm declaring? Integer number one is equal to 0 and number 2 is equal to 0. So two variable number one and number two I declared and initialize to 0. Okay, the data type is integer. Then console.writeLine console calculator in C sharp. Okay, so all the things. Okay, then it will ask you, it will write it there because it is just like display console calculator in C sharp. Then one line will be created also. That just line will be created. Then suppose you want to ask the user to type the first number, then console.writeLine type a number and then press enter. This is the things to be displayed there. Okay. Then once it is there, whatever we are giving, so everything it will take as a string. So to convert the string into integer, we write so what we write? Convert to integer 32. Which one? Console.readLine. So whatever the data I entered, that it has initially taken as a string, and this string is converted into integer to integer 32. Get it now? And the same thing I store it number one, and the same thing I do it for the number two also. Fine. Then after that, what you do? You go for some operations. Then console.writeLine type another number and then press enter. It is there, and ask the user to choose an option. What are the options? So console.writeLine choose an option from this following list. What are the options you see here? Yeah. Can you see here? One is the A for addition, A is for subtraction, M for multiplication, D is for divide. All the things, these choices I'm giving it here. And here I'm like, because it's just like the program we are using in Java. So switch console.readLine I'm using it here. First console write your option. It will show these are the options are there. So out of that you have to select one. Suppose you are going for A. A means you are going for add. And what is that add? It is showing it here. So case A, what is the case A? It is add. So console.write your result which is equal to number 1 plus number 2. Can you see here? Which is equal to plus this one. All the things it is done. Similarly, case S, A is for addition, S is subtraction. So you got number 1 minus number 2. Okay, similarly, multiplication. So your result is number 1 into number 2. Similarly, the division, number 1 divided by number 2. Are you getting me? So all the things you are reading all things. Then console.write, press any key to close the calculator console and console.read key. So any key it will take and it will also come out of that one. So I hope up to this you people are comfortable and you can see it here. Let us go for the actually going for this calculator. So now let us see 54321. So it is asking console calculator in C sharp and type a number and then press enter. Then so suppose my number is 85. 85 is my number. So enter. Type another number. So my second number is 35. Okay, my second number is 35. This is telling to suppose I go for the subtractor. So I put S is the subtractor and enter. So 85 minus 35, it will be 50. So answer you see your result 85 minus 35. It is just like a working age calculator. Are you getting me? So you go for addition. If you go addition, you are selecting A. If you are going for a multiplication, you are going. So all the things you can do here. Fine. So enter. Now it disappears in front of you. Right? And control Z and control Z. So whatever things it was there and control Z also. Control Z I and control Z. Right. So now control Z. Okay, remove all the things. I don't know all the things. Alright. So this is the thing we have done up to this and we have deleted. Fine. So I deleted here. Now what I have to do, so these are the things which you can run and which you can write small program we can run. Now in the next video I will try to do how to take input from this keyboard and how to display and how we work on these variables. So thank you for watching this video and also if you have any query and other things, please be free to write queries or write some SMS to me so that any doubt or anything in the next video I'll try to clear. Thank you. Thank you once again for watching this video.